Welcome to the 700 Club. Do Joe Biden and the violent protesters share the same agenda? Well, that's the question coming up. Plus, the president says he knows who's funding the left-wing groups. So who are they? The Democrats had been mum about the violence, so why is Joe speaking out now? Dale Hurd has that.
With his numbers sagging in the polls, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden looks to be trying to reinvent himself as the kinder, gentler law and order candidate. Speaking not in the shattered cities of Portland or Kenosha, but in Pittsburgh.
Rioting is not protesting. Looting is not protesting. Setting fires is not protesting. None of this is protesting. It's lawlessness, plain and simple.
But President Trump wasn't letting Biden off the hook.
The violent rioters share Biden's same talking points, and they share his same agenda for our nation.
This after deaths in 2 cities after police failed to put down protests. In Portland, authorities identified the victim as a member of a right-wing group called Patriot Prayer. Police are seeking a person who self-identified as anti-fascist in connection with this shooting.
I am not sad that a fascist died tonight.
Journalist and former Portland resident Mark Hemingway writes in the Wall Street Journal that violent radicalism has been enabled by 50 years of political leadership that has been as corrupt and depraved as it has been progressive. After the shooting, a number of progressive groups in Portland are calling for the mayor and police chief to resign for failing to protect citizens. President Trump is set to visit Kenosha, Wisconsin today and defended Kyle Rittenhouse, the teenager accused of fatally shooting 2 demonstrators there.
He was trying to get away from them, I guess. He probably would have been killed. It's under investigation.
Rittenhouse's lawyer says he was acting to defend the community when police would not. But Trump says he doesn't want his supporters confronting rioters. In an interview on Fox News, The Ingram Angle, the president accused stupid, foolish rich people and corporations of funding the riots.
But the money is coming from somewhere.
Money is coming
How can it be
from
tracked?
some very stupid rich people that have no idea that if their thing ever succeeded, which it won't, they will be thrown to the wolves like you've never seen before.
Colorado Republican Congressman Ken Buck is calling for congressional hearings into the source of the funding for the riots that have erupted in American cities. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that law and order is going to take President Trump to another term in the White House without question, and the radicals are giving him the election. They think they're protesting for something, but what they're doing is protesting for Donald Trump. They just don't realize it. And that was some good news. A crackdown on sex traffickers has led to the rescue of dozens of missing children. Good news you don't read about much in the papers, but we've got it here. John Jessup.
That's right, Pat. Over a period of several weeks, U.S. Marshals have recovered at least 64 missing children in operations targeting several states. Many of the children are victims of sex traffickers. In an ongoing crackdown in Ohio, the Marshals so far have located 25 children between the ages of 13 and 18. They're looking for about 200 more. Last week, they rescued 26 children and located 13 others in Georgia and Florida. Another operation led to the arrest of 27 men in Ohio who were having sexual conversations online with agents posing as children. Well, the head of the Food and Drug Administration says he's open to fast-tracking a COVID-19 vaccine before clinical trials are completed. Dr. Stephen Hahn told the Financial Times that under the right circumstances, an emergency authorization could be approved while stage 3 trials are still underway. Dr. Hahn said the drug company would have to request emergency authorization before the FDA makes that decision. He stressed pressure from the White House would not influence that decision. Well, President Trump has promised a vaccine by year's end, but with recent polls showing as many as 35% of Americans unwilling to take it, the question some are asking is, could the government make it mandatory? One state health official says he'd give that order. Paul Strand looks at the complications and concerns of such a potential decision.
The Supreme Court ruled in 1905, after a smallpox epidemic had raged through Massachusetts, that a state could mandate vaccinations. First Liberty Institute attorney Jeremy Dice.
The court said, look, there is a necessary police power to encourage people to be able to have a vaccine to eradicate this deadly disease, especially amongst children.
The military has long mandated U.S. troops get vaccinations. Many hospitals and schools insist on them. So no surprise, some are now advocating mandatory vaccinations for COVID-19, like Virginia's health commissioner, who said if we develop a vaccine that can prevent it from spreading in the community, we will save hundreds and hundreds of lives. When asked if he would mandate a vaccine, Dr. Oliver replied yes. That's not a popular view, though, among people who may not trust the science or have religious objections.
I think there are people who absolutely their faith would say if this vaccine, for example, uses aborted unborn children fetal tissue, that we're going to take a pass, that we're going to say we can't be a part of anything that would in any way denigrate the value of human life.
But some lawmakers object to allowing any religious exemption, like Virginia Delegate Mark Levine, who proclaimed, "You do not have the right to kill somebody else." If such non-vaccinated then got the virus.
He went on to basically say, I think they should receive criminal penalties.
Levine even compared such people to those who drive drunk.
That is shocking and despicable.
While Democrats in Virginia's legislature blocked a bill favoring religious exemptions, the point might be moot, since Virginia Governor Ralph Northam says he doesn't support mandating vaccinations.
But might it not be a person's duty to get the vaccination to protect those around them, to be their brother's keeper?
No question, we are called to love our neighbor, and we need to be very faithful to do that.
Everyday individual Americans have to recognize that they've got a responsibility, one towards another and to their fellow man and their neighbor, to make sure that they're caring not only for themselves, but for the whole as well.
Cobb points out, though, some people fear the health effects of a new vaccine, particularly on their kids.
We need to very carefully balance personal responsibility, individual liberty, and most importantly, parental rights to do what's best for the children that God has bestowed upon us to raise, not the government.
With a vaccine hoped for soon, this could soon become a prominent national issue. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, Paul. The White House is facing a backlash after the nation's top intelligence official canceled in-person briefings on election security for members of Congress. John Ratcliffe, the director of national intelligence, said the briefings will be given in written form with no opportunity to ask questions in person. Ratcliffe said he took the step because of a, quote, pandemic of leaks, but did not give specifics. Democrats condemned the decision that comes only weeks to go before the election, and with growing concerns over meddling by Russia, China, and Iran. They're considering subpoenaing Ratcliffe to explain that decision. Pat?
Well, I think the idea of having an open forum to let the intelligence be leaked by dozens of sources is wise to shut it down. And as they say, Shifty Schiff in the House is just having a fit because I don't know what he'll get the briefing, but he'll get it in writing instead of orally, which I think there's nothing in the world wrong with that. But it's their call. And by the way, back to that vaccination thing, I think we need to have more information. There is no way under heaven that we now know that a quick vaccine that's just brought out is going to have the effects they want it to have against this COVID-19. And to force people to get it before it's proven would be a very bad decision. I mean, later on, when they got it out, I mean, we certainly learned that the vaccination against smallpox was extremely important, and everybody, the little kids all got vaccinated, and that was fine. But I don't think we have enough knowledge now to force people to get that vaccination. So that's my take on it. John?
Well, Pat, turning to the devastation in Louisiana, where residents are facing crucial shortages of basic supplies after Hurricane Laura. More than 17,000 linemen from 29 states are working to restore power. Hundreds of thousands left with no AC on some of the hottest days of the year. About 180,000 people don't have water. Cars have been backed up for miles as the U.S. military hands out ice, water, meals, and tarps. This man was trapped in his home for days, hoping for any help he can get.
We lost the roof to our house. We've been trapped in our house for 4 days. My brother-in-law came, cut us out with a chainsaw yesterday.
Operation Blessing trucks are on the scene in Lake Charles, Louisiana, bringing power tools and equipment to clear out homes and to cut and remove debris, ready to sign up volunteers to help the victims. And Pat, you and I have both been on the scene after hurricanes and know how much help Operation Blessing brings.
Sure have. I've done an operation during Katrina where they had trailers in there, and those people were working like crazy and doing a wonderful job. I might add, there's so much work that needs to be done. Those people are suffering, and Operation Blessing is now they're at work in Lake Charles, surrounding areas, and we've got drive-through food distribution. Disaster relief teams are ready to serve by tarping roofs, mucking and gutting homes, tree removal, debris cleanup. Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. So if you want to do something to help your fellow man, we can do it through Operation Blessing. Wendy?
I know a lot of people would like to volunteer, and now is your chance. Operation Blessing is coordinating daytime volunteers to help with the Hurricane Laura cleanup efforts in Lake Charles, Louisiana. You must be at least 18 years old, and for more information, call this special number on your screen, 1-800-730-2537, or you can go to cbn.com. Again, the number 1-800-730-2537 if you'd like to volunteer in Lake Charles, Louisiana in the aftermath of Hurricane Laura.